In a small, quiet town in Wisconsin, a man lived in near total isolation. A handyman, a loner, known to the locals as odd, but harmless. What they didn't know was that behind the doors of his crumbling farmhouse was a nightmare so grotesque it would shock the nation. This is the disturbing life of Ed Gein, the man who became the face of American horror. Edward Theodore Gein was born on August 27, 1906, in La Crosse, Wisconsin. His father, George Gein, was a violent alcoholic. His mother, Augusta, was a fanatical Lutheran who preached that women were sinful and sex was evil. Ed and his older brother Henry grew up isolated, banned from making friends, homeschooled by a mother who filled their heads with fear and guilt. When the family moved to a remote farmhouse in Plainfield, Augusta's control tightened. Ed worshipped her. Her approval was everything, and her death would eventually break his mind. In 1940, Ed's father died. 4 years later, his brother Henry was found dead in a marsh after a suspicious brush fire. Though Ed reported him missing, his story didn't quite add up, and many suspect that Ed had killed him. Then in 1945, Augusta died of a stroke. Her death devastated Ed. He sealed her bedroom and left it untouched, while the rest of the house slowly decayed around him. Alone, mentally unstable, and obsessed with death, Ed began a descent into darkness. Over the next decade, Ed Gein turned to local graveyards. He admitted to exhuming freshly buried bodies, mostly middle-aged women, who reminded him of his mother. From these corpses he collected skin, organs, and bones, and he began creating grotesque trophies. A belt made of nipples, a chair upholstered with human skin, a mask made from a woman's face. He even crafted a full woman's suit, the skins stitched together, which he wore to become his mother. Ed's crimes escalated in 1954, when a local tavern owner, Mary Hogan, disappeared. Then in 1957, hardware store owner Bernice Warden went missing. A sales receipt led police to Gein's farm, where they discovered Warden's body in a shed, hanging upside down and gutted like a deer. Inside the house, investigators found horrors that were beyond comprehension. Human skulls used as bowls, a box of preserved noses, lips sewn into a drawstring, and furniture made entirely from human remains. Ed Gein wasn't just a murderer. He was a body snatcher, a cannibal, a necrophile, and a disturbed man who couldn't let go of his mother. Ed was declared legally insane and committed to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane. He was later tried for Bernice Warden's murder in 1968, found guilty but legally insane. He would live out the rest of his days in institutions, where he remained quiet, cooperative, and even helpful, until his death in 1984. He was buried next to his mother, in an unmarked grave, after vandals stole his tombstone. Ed Gein's crimes had a relatively low body count, with just 2 confirmed murders, but his depravity shocked America and inspired horror legends. He was the real-life inspiration for Norman Bates in Psycho, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. His story has been retold in books, films, and documentaries, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can hide in the most ordinary places. Ed Gein wasn't a criminal mastermind or a serial killer in the traditional sense. He was a broken man, twisted by trauma, mental illness, and obsession. But what makes his story so terrifying is how human he really was. Because monsters don't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes they live in the house next door.